we're about to begin. Honorable Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice, Mrs. Grayson Stewart McFarlane, Permanent Secretary within the Ministry of Justice, Miss Kayla Sewell Mills, Chief Technical Director within the Ministry of Justice, Miss Sasha Ibanks, Coordinator Acting for the Restorative Justice Program, Mr. Royden Hall, Trainer and Parish Officer within the Restorative Justice Program, Honorable Mrs. Marcia Bennett, Custos Rotulorum for the Parish of St. Thomas, other specially invited guests, our committed and dedicated staff, graduands, friends, good morning. Since the inception of this dynamic program, Restorative Justice within Jamaica, we've been graced with a cadre of facilitators with a reservoir of professional experiences, a wealth of broad knowledge base, and an undaunted drive for the practice and process of restorative justice. Today, graduates, you'll officially join that phenomenal team, bringing your own professional, social, personal, and intellectual uniqueness, which is the missing piece of our operational puzzle. Today is your day, graduates. Give yourselves a round of applause. Because you have successfully completed the RJ Facilitators training. Give yourselves again another round of applause. So permit us today to celebrate with you this milestone. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your Master of Ceremony for today, Colette Kerr Patterson. And without any further ado, we're going to get the ceremony started. And we'll stand together as we'll have the national anthem played. You'll stand at attention. Murphy always presents himself everywhere, you see. Thank you so much. You'll remain standing as we invite Pastor Royton McLaren, a graduate of the program, who will be facilitating from the Spanish Town Restorative Justice Center. He'll offer prayers.
Morning, everyone. Let us pray. Father, most Almighty God in heaven, this morning we give you thanks, Lord, for this another day. A day, God, we give you thanks for the way you blessed us from morning until now. We give you thanks, Lord, for journeying mercies to be here. And as we gather in this fashion, we pray and ask the Lord for bless us to bless us in every way. God, I'm asking you, Lord, please this day, that you may give us the knowledge and understanding. As what we are doing will be graduating today, not to see this as any additional thing to our resume and our status. But I pray, Almighty God, we may see this as something where we can help our neighbor, our community, our school, and our church. God, we know without you we cannot make it. But I pray, God, may give us the strength. I pray, God, for our minister. At this time with us today, God, give him this vision for this country. We pray, God, for all the facilitators and trainers who spared their time with us, who taught us through our practicum online. We are grateful, and God, this morning we say thank you for them. Every one of us, Lord, from all the different parishes, Lord, we pray, God. But God, give us the knowledge and the understanding that what we are doing, what we commit ourselves to, is for the betterment of our country. And God, help us that we can see that this can help our country in every possible way. God, we give you thanks. And we pray individually, collectively, that we may work together in this nation, in this country. God, we give you thanks for this day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. Thank you so much, Pastor McLaren, for your prayers. And since we are off to a good start, we'll let you feel a little more welcomed, and we'll invite Ms. Sasha Ibbings, Restorative Justice Coordinator Acting, to welcome you all.
Thank you, Mrs. Carr-Pattison. Honorable Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice. Honorable Marcia Bennett, Custos Rotalorum for the Parish of St. Thomas. Ms. Kayla Sewell Mills, Chief Technical Director in the Ministry of Justice, trainers of the Restorative Justice Program, staff of the Ministry of Justice Restorative Justice Program, and to you, our graduating class of training 2022, a warm welcome to you. Can we put our hands together for our graduates? I think you deserve a better hand than that. I welcome you with the scriptures taken from Ecclesiastes 4, reading from verse 9 to 12, and it reads, 2 are better than 1. Better they are have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Again, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, two can withstand together. And a threefold cord is not easily broken. We say amen to the word of the Lord. Restorative justice comes with the connection, the thoughts and energies and focus and philosophy of togetherness, the idea of connectedness, the ideas of us working together to achieve a common goal. It is through togetherness, it is through working as one, working as a team, that we are able to bring persons together who are in conflict. And so today we have come from the 14 parishes across the island, the 20 restorative justice locations, to celebrate the focus of togetherness and cohesiveness. I want to leave with you as I welcome you to the halls of the restorative justice facilitators' role, the importance of this word, Ubuntu. Can we say that word together? Again, Ubuntu. That idea has been championed by Bishop Desmond Tutu, and what it says is that I exist because you exist. My humanity is tied up in your humanity. I can't know how to be a woman, a coordinator, without the guidance, the feedback of our Honorable Minister, the Chief Technical Director, and indeed the staff of the Restorative Justice Program. Similarly, you, as Restorative Justice facilitators, you will not know how to be the best facilitator you can be without those who would have gone before, and certainly our clients who we'll be serving. So I welcome you this morning, heartily and with pride as we celebrate you. But we want us to remember this is a call to serve. We are here in the service of our fellow citizens. So I leave with you this word: one love, one heart. Let's
Get together.
and
Feel all right.
welcome.
Thank you so much, Miss Evans, for that warm welcome. At this time, we will take remarks from Mr. Roydon Hall, JP, Trainer and Restorative Justice Officer, Tower Hill Restorative Justice Center.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony, Mrs. Colette Carr Patterson, Honorable Minister of Justice, Mr. Delroy Chuck, Honorable Custos Rotolium, Ms. Marcia Bennett, CTD, Ms. Kayla Sewell Mills, colleague Restorative Justice Officers, Community Liaison Officers, special invited guests, members of the media, graduates, children, all. It gives me great pleasure to share with you this morning on behalf of the other trainers to remind us that restorative justice practices is serious business, especially in Jamaica today. Luckily for us, we have a minister who has a vision for the transformation of our country to make it more safe, peaceful, and cohesive as a society. He has ensured that we continue with the necessary training to commit you as citizens to have the knowledge, the skill, and the attitude for treating with serious cases as well as other cases that may come before us, such that we may begin the healing process for our sisters, our brothers, our neighbors, as well as those who also cause harm to others, so that they may introspect and understand that when they hurt someone, they're actually hurting the wider community. And that, more importantly, that they have an obligation to repair the harm, to address the wrongdoing that they had caused. The minister has, through legislation, made it possible for the community, for the courts, as well as the Department of Correctional Services to refer cases to us. So brace yourselves to be treating with unusual cases from these sources. To this end, you were handpicked and chosen to benefit from the training, to build your capacity to assist with the reduction of revenge in Jamaica, reprisal in Jamaica, and repeat offending. However, with responsibility, there is high expectations of you to complete your practicum if you have not yet done so, and to begin to apply your knowledge and skill and attitude to the restoration process. However, I must stress that it is not your aptitude as a restorative justice facilitator, it is not your aptitude that will determine how high you go. It is the other A word, the attitude. So we're really looking and hoping that you will embrace the principles of Ubuntu, as Mr. Banks mentioned. And I must point out and remind us the heavy investment that was made into this program for the advancement of social justice in our nation. So see a purpose in what you do from this training. Take care of yourselves and have a vision, because without a vision, clearly, the people certainly will perish. So, graduates, I leave you with this thought. This is not an ordinary program. You can create a ripple to effect the necessary transformation in our country. You are the change agent. So to this end, let me congratulate you for reaching this stage of your journey, and I must salute you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hall. Coincidentally, we are celebrating our RJ Week this week, and the theme under which we're celebrating is, anybody knows? All right, I heard this table first saying everyone has to say the RJ way, and then I heard this table saying the other part of it, which really was the first part. So it's actually stories of restoration. Everyone has a say the RJ way. What that is saying is that RJ is all inclusive, and each of us needs restoration, don't? And each of us have stories of restoration. Yes? As we will be getting into testimonials, good? I'm reminded of this story because we tend to look at the Jamaican Rastaman at a very lower level, don't? Yes, and so I recall this story, yes, Sasha, because we are restorative, so no, we don't. Good? So I recall this story where the international poetry competition was down to 2. An Ivy League graduate and a Jamaican Rastaman. Stories, yes? Testimonials, good. So the announcer said that we'll give you, for your final piece, we'll give you 1 word, and you must make a poem from it. Good? So the Yale graduate was up first, and he went up, and quite naturally and quite expectedly, individuals would look to him for some great poetry. Good? So he went up. Trekked across the desert sands, traveled a lonely caravan, men on camel 2 by 2s, destination Timbuktu. That was actually the word, yes? So, you know Jamaicans, we're quite humble, we're quite creative, yes? So, Rastaman go up. Me and Tim a hunting went. Buck up some girls in a tent. Them was 3. But we was 2. So I book 1 and team book 2. Stories of restoration. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll have our testimonials now, and we'll invite Mr. Oswald Leon, Facilitator's experience, and he's our graduate from the St. Andrew Justice Center. A round of applause.
Master of Ceremony, Ms. Colette Carr Patterson, the Honorable Minister of Justice, Delroy Chuck, Custos Retaloam, Mrs. Marcia Bennett, Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Grace and Stuart McFarlane, Chief Technical Director, Ms. Kalia Sewell Mills, Restorative Justice Coordinator, Ms. Sasha Ibanks, Trainer, Mr. Roydon, all uninvited guests, the media, fellow graduates, good morning. It is indeed a pleasure when I was called upon to give this testimonial. I have been part of many courses, and I have enjoyed them. But this restorative justice has put me in a different line, a different light, a different way, and it gives me hope that change is within our grasp as a people. And not just change within our grasp, but it gives me the opportunity to move from the sidelines in getting involved and being part of the solution, instead of the usual stereotype of complaining and criticizing and sitting on the sidelines, and hoping that there is some better life overseas. 3 months have passed since my last class ended in restorative justice. Currently, I'm in the process of completing my 321 practicum. At the start of this course, I thought to myself that 9 weeks were pretty long for a course, and notwithstanding the 2 days per week, 10 to 2. Truth be told, I made the time and effort to attend the sessions, but the first class, What is Restorative Justice? Our facilitators were Mr. Shauna Smith and Mr. Varaldo Bahanet. To be honest, my only concern at the time was, please, I don't want to be bored or to preach to. Indeed, my prayers were answered. Their facilitation skills were just a foretaste of what would be the staple of our engagement. Their level of professionalism was excellent. We were so engrossed in the session, and the time went by very fast. We had fun. My interest was set in motion. So too, my knowledge was heightened, and my mind was placed on a journey of discovery and possibilities. After all this excitement and intrigue, I was still a bit timid and thought, though playing it cool, the reality was I had a lot on my plate at that time. I was so engaged at that time. But there was something in me that said, continue on this course, continue. These other commitments posed a challenge, a real challenge to my participation in the course. But with God's help, I was able to navigate the challenges successfully. The ensuing classes were no less than the first, and they did not disappoint. The structure, organization, and mode of delivery, and methods of engagement, not to mention the use and choice of the videos used in the session, especially the TED Talk videos, provided the kind of context and hands-on approach and just lent itself to real learning. This was strengthened by the fact that the content of the course and its subsequent implications as a mechanism of empowerment gave us the promise that the solution to one of our nation's most vexing problems, crime and violence, is within our grasp, and this gave an added impetus. I must confess that when I logged in Zoom the first day and saw more than 100 participants, I felt a bit overwhelmed. The reason being, I am more on the reserved side and feel more comfortable with smaller groups. But something happened. Despite such a large crowd, I started to experience a level of comfort, mutual trust, and a feeling that this is where I belong. I am not the outspoken type in class. Actually, I spoke only twice during the class. But what I found interesting about my fellow batchmates, even though we are from a wide cross-section of the society, from different professions, religious convictions, lived experiences, communities, and much more, all this did not matter. We saw ourselves as one community who have realized that this restorative justice course is a clarion call to action, seeing that we are all in the same boat, and that boat is Jamaica, land we love. Our classes were truly time of experiential learning, not just how our facilitators conducted themselves, but the coordinated way how they brought in and used our lived experience in our class discussions and interaction in terms of respect for others' view and opinion, the opportunity in gaining listening skill, not to mention empathy, and the chance to become critical, reflective learners, which afford us to be honest, open, and about and about our feelings, emotion, and experiences. In-class discussion have shown me how to engage with others in good intellectual discussion and how a single situation can be approached and analyzed from a variety of angles. Now that we are empowered through this restorative justice course, let us remember the immortal words of our first national hero, Marcus Messiah Garvey. Up you mighty race, accomplish what you will. It is time to put our learning to work and accomplish what we will. Blessings.
What a wonderful testimony. You know, he said he only spoke twice during training. But facilitators, when you start facilitating conferences, you're going to be the other voice in the room, the voice of restoration. So I want you to take away from Mr. Leon's speech to be a part of the solution. With all that's happening in our world today, in Jamaica today, all the problems, all the conflicts, let's be a part of the solution. So this person who's coming up next, if there's anyone who's passionate about restorative justice, it has to be this individual. And it's a good thing. And yes, quite fitting, the applauses. So let's round it up. Yes. Thank you. And that passion ripples and it filters down to us as employees, as officers, restorative justice officers, community liaison officers, or facilitators. Oh, even our stakeholders get a little bit of the energy too. I remember when he toured St. Elizabeth from Thursday until Sunday, right, Minister? By the Monday morning, I could not get out of bed, hardly get out of bed. And by Monday evening and later during that week, I saw Minister in other engagements. And I'm wondering, how does he get that energy when I'm dropping down? And he was just ready to go on all those parish tours. And I looked at it and I said, well, if my minister can be this passionate about restorative justice, why shouldn't I be? Ladies and gentlemen, here to give us her remarks, the Honorable Minister, Delroy Chuck.
Thank you very much, Colette, for those very nice compliments. Costas Rotalorum from St. Thomas, so very nice of you to join us here in Kingston. And it shows the passion of the custodies, too, that they're so keen on restorative justice.
Yes.
Chief Technical Director, Ms. Suel Mills, Coordinator here at the Ministry of Justice, Ms. Sasha Banks, and Mr. Royden Hall, who many of you know very well, but he's the first person who took me around RJ centers, you know. And when I wanted to speak about RJ a couple of years ago at the Theological College, he's the man who I took there to explain what RJ was. I was just getting to know what RJ was all about. But since then, I've read quite a bit. Although I've not gone through the training that you have gone through, I have read a lot about RJ and realized the significance and the importance of the practice that is so needed here in Jamaica. Let me welcome all of you. I know many of you have been traveling all morning, and I knew that I would be here for about lunch. I thought I would be here for lunch, and I insisted that we must have a sumptuous lunch. Regrettably, I won't be able to join you for lunch because at midday I have a meeting at Jamaica House on the road safety. You know, this is topical news now. So the Prime Minister summoned me to be at Jamaica House at midday. And then at 3 o'clock, I have the National Council on Justice, where sometimes we meet with the Chief Justice and the other parish court judges and urge them to use ADR, which includes restorative justice. Let me congratulate all 147 of you who completed. A few dropped out, could not take on the 9 weeks, Mr. Leon, but you all endured. And I think all of you are much better for it. I have absolutely no doubt that you will learn a lot, and it will make a difference, not only in your lives, but I certainly hope you will utilize the information to make a difference in other people's lives. The Ministry of Justice will be dependent on you to be the apostles, the missionaries of this alternative dispute resolution. We have a tool, a process that works. And I know it works because there are so many testimonials. And sometime I'm going to ask you, as you know of these testimonials, to put them either in audio or in writing, because at some time in the future, we need to put booklets together as to the success of this fantastic program. I think it's important that stories of success, stories of restoration, stories of RJ should filter across Jamaica. And there are so many stories. And that is why during RJ Week, we try to get the officers to be in radio, to go to church services, and to give indication of how successful this program has been. I recall last year when a bishop giving his testimonial at a church service to begin Restorative Justice Week. And he spoke how RJ changed his life. It's something I repeat quite a few times. He actually went up on at the Baptist church on the boulevard and indicate how he and his family were not talking. And after they went through restorative justice circles, not only is he and his son and the rest of the family talking, but the son called him 2-3 times per day. And he says he is a good subject to preach about restorative justice. And that, to my mind, was a story that I repeat. Another story, this Sunday, I was out in Mount Salem, and to hear the custos and the police officer and the judge speaking about the restorative justice officers. I don't know if they're here. Are they here? The two from St. Anne Justice Center. That they said that these are two remarkable individuals. And the lady who came up to give her testimonial, it's clear that she and her husband were having problems. And they finally decided to go to restorative justice. And she now was able to say, we are now one. I mean, when you listen to her, you really want to, tears, come to your eyes. To say, thank you, Miss Lily, thank you, forget her name now, Miss Hardware. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be so happy. The husband, we're each now so happy together. And it's because of your participation. And what is more, you don't even leave us out every now and then. You call us to find out how everything is going. Can you imagine? And she was able to say, please make sure you help others just like you help us as a family. And so that is the mission that you have. You can make a difference in other people's lives. You can be the solution to many of the problems, as Mr. Hall has pointed out, to many of the problems that really go across Jamaica. And let us face it, we do have many problems. But as Mr. Leon has pointed out too, we can criticize. And everyone, we can just look at things and say, why it must happen like that? And criticize. We have some people, who see a problem in everything. But I want you to bear this little saying in mind. It's not original from me. Some people see things as they are and say, why? Others see things as they never were and say, why not? And that is where, as Mr. Hall pointed out, you too must have a vision of what your family, your neighborhood, your community can become. It may not happen, but you must still have a vision of what it can become. And if you play only a small part to make it that peaceful and safe society, you would have played a part. Because restorative justice facilitators, in many homes every night, it's like a boxing ring or a wrestling ring, where spouses are fighting and beating up one another. These things need to be addressed. We need to be able to urge these families to seek help. Whether they go to victim services or they come to restorative justice, they need help before it emerges into violence, further violence, and then oftentimes killings. The country is suffering from an epidemic of violence and murders because people cannot settle conflicts. And many of these conflicts, or many of these killings, emerge from simple conflicts. I am tired of telling people nothing is wrong with disagreements. We live in a democracy. And democracy is about different points of view. Democracy is about the competition of ideas, opinions, and positions. And because it's a competition of ideas and opinions, in the end, we hope the best emerge. So that is why democracy, I always believe, is the best form of government. Because it's a competition of differences. And at the end of the day, if a country, a society can sort out the differences, the best will emerge. And that is why when you see people have differences, not a problem. But it is how you respond to the differences that people have. And you don't have to respond by using assault, threats, and sometimes violence to say, I am the bigger and the more powerful man. Because many times, when gangs fight, it's all about differences and who is more powerful. They too need ways and means to resolve their problems. And many of the challenges we have in Jamaica, in fact, I would dare say the vast majority of the challenges we have in this country is that people don't know how to get along. People don't know how to sort out their differences. People don't know how to settle the conflicts between them. And because of that, they escalate into more difficult problems. And that is where restorative justice facilitators, you come in. Because having gone through the 9 weeks and 11 modules, you know that you have to use knowledge, techniques, strategy, persuasion to let the wrong do. Accept responsibility. It's not easy, you know. In Jamaica, the going is not my fault. It's always not my fault. It wasn't me. Very few people take responsibility. Always. It wasn't me. And so the challenge of getting wrongdoers to admit to their wrongdoing, to apologize for their wrongdoing, is not easy. Even when people are wrong, they will say, you people misinterpret. Always misinterpret. No one is willing to be man enough or woman enough to accept responsibility. And that is where restorative justice facilitators, your first challenge is. How do you get the wrongdoer to say, you licked the person, admit you're wrong, no? Don't tell me about he or she deserve it. You're wrong to do it. It doesn't matter if the person provoke and cause it. You are wrong in using violence. You see the problem we have in this country? Everybody believe them right. And nobody willing to accept that more often than not, you're wrong. And having done that, to convince the victim to forgive. So I know it will be a challenge when you go out there to practice. And from the beginning, as you go out there to practice, make notes. You're not going to succeed all the time. You're not going to succeed on the first circle. It may well be that you recommend, since we're not getting anywhere, we come back tomorrow or later, so that passions can cool down. Because when persons are enraged, they don't think, and they're not thinking. So to the extent that you have maybe 2 or 3 sessions with the parties, as you try to get them to settle their differences, believe me, there are many stories where the facilitator calm, strategize, and get the parties to settle down and then resolve their differences. And you know when they do, you're going to see them hugging up one another and crying on one another's shoulders. And then that is the reward that as facilitator you will get. To see parties who were on the point of fighting can now hug up one another and crying on one another's shoulders. There are many experiences of those. So, I say, as you go about the practice, make sure you take notes, and that will guide you in the various cases that you take on. You take notes, which ones are successful, and those that fail, you take notes why maybe it failed. Because at the end of the day, for each circle that you participate in, you must benefit from the experience. Very important. If you don't benefit from the experience, you're not growing. So it's very important that when matters are referred to you and you participate in the circle, success or failure, you win. You must learn from it. Now, all of you have have just finished the training. And one of the challenge you will have is to get cases referred to you. And I will come back to that in a moment. But one of the main failure of restorative justice is that it not only is a success, but nobody knows about it. Not many people know about it. And that is the failure, that we have not been able to sensitize communities, schools, and churches. And that is why, as I went on the parish tours last year, I realized that people don't know about it. This is a secret. So I determined that not only will we take it into the schools, but now I've had a memorandum of understanding with all the church leaders, over 13 of them, that we are going to take it into the churches. Now, for us to take it into the churches, we need facilitators to engage in 2-day program with an average of 25 persons in each church. We have over 4,000 churches, you know. And what has happened, the experience so far, when we take it to one church and we sensitize 25 persons, they want you to come back to do another 25. So the truth is that we are trying to make sure we do as many churches as possible. And so far, regrettably, we have only trained 64 persons to participate in the 2-day. So I'm going to invite all of you in the 4-day training. Yes. In the 4-day training. So I'm going to invite all of you to sign up to go further in a 4-day training. And that 4-day training is for you to be able to conduct 2-day training. In other words, the 2-day training is when you go with the church, the 25 or so average. We don't want more than about 25. Averaging 25, 20 to 30. So when you go to the church, you can sensitize the congregation about restorative justice. And the same when you go to the PTA or the school, teachers, senior students, and parents will be sensitized. And that's just the beginning. We want to be able to go to the business places, construction sites, communities. I will be asking MPs to invite you people to get, to come and speak about restorative justice and to conduct restorative justice to many of the delegates of the political parties. Take it from me, they need restorative justice bad. Fine. So the opportunity will be there, and the Ministry of Justice will be paying for you to, not only for the restorative justice circles, but also if you conduct sensitization programs in the schools, the churches, and the communities. All of it will be managed from the Ministry of Justice. I can tell you, this year I got a good amount of money from the Minister Clark. We haven't even spent 10% of it as yet. And I would like to see that money go in hundreds of millions. I don't think we spent 20 million of it. And he gave us 80 million. And the truth of the matter is that the program is just starting out, not only restorative justice, but mediation. We want to push it hard, because if we can get quarreling, fighting people settling their difference, it will prevent a lot of criminality, a lot of crimes. And we're now spending in excess of 400 million for legal aid fees. I would like to cut that in half and shift it back to people settling their conflicts. And that is where restorative justice and mediation will come in. So I want to prevent, and not to be paying lawyers to go to court or to go to the police station when the conflict or the violence or the crime has occurred. We want prevention. Because I have no doubt, as I read about the success of restorative justice, that it can play an important part in changing the culture of crime, violence, indiscipline, wrongdoing, corruption across Jamaica. And that is why we want more persons of the 147 of you to be trained in this 4-day program, because we want to take it into the schools, the churches, and the communities, so they all know about it. And that will help those persons to identify wrongdoing, abuses, and those persons can be encouraged to come to the facilitators in order to have the circle and resolve the problem. But at the moment, the real challenge, the real concern is that more cases are not being referred to the restorative justice centers. In other words, we would want all of those cases of conflicts or potential conflict in the communities to be referred to the restorative justice centers so that the wrongdoing can be healed, so that parties can settle their differences and avoid the crime and violence which so often emerge from these conflicts. And that is why we want to be able to sensitize as many communities as possible to know that you can get help. Help is available. Come to the restorative justice centers. See how a person trained in resolving conflicts can give assistance. And so, as missionaries out there in the field across Jamaica, I will be behind you to encourage you and to let Jamaica know that we have a program, we have a tool that can solve many of Jamaica's problems. But we need the people who are in abusive relationship, people who are engaged in wrongdoing, to come and seek help. And that is what we will be out there, not only preaching, but inviting persons to come and get the help. So I want to thank all of you who have offered yourself to this program. I hope you will remain with the program. See how well you can participate in the program. Keep in touch with the restorative justice centers, the justice centers. Make sure you're available when called upon. Be willing and eager to assist once you're called upon for assistance, because having assisted you in going through the training, we are going to be dependent on you to assist us in getting things right and correct in communities. So please, open your mind to what Jamaica can become. Jamaica can become a peaceful place. I have said it many times. If Jamaica could just be restored to a peaceful place, we would have no problem removing poverty around the country. If we can get more of our Jamaicans abroad to return and retire, as I said on Sunday, you know how much retirement money would come back to Jamaica. It would solve most of our fiscal problems. So help, please, and do your part in making Jamaica the country it can become. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Minister.
I apologize, I have to run.
We understand. Thank you. So we remain encouraged by your words, Honorable Minister, and endeavor to be restorative ourselves, yes? And to, in our own facilitation, in our own general practice, and in our own facilitation skills, to be restorative ourselves so that those skills can actually be improved. So at this time, I know you have been waiting, graduates. You would have completed your 9 weeks of training, Mr. Leon. Yes, and now you want to have that little piece of paper in your hand, don't? That says Restorative Justice Facilitator. I know I wanted to have that piece of paper when I was in training, and that was last year. So we're going to be inviting my colleagues, and we are going to be presenting the certificates at this time. So you call from this, right? All right. At this time, we're going to be inviting our Chief Technical Director, Miss Kayla Sewell Mills, and she will be presenting the certificates to our graduates. Miss Mills, you may stand right in the center there for us. All right. You can call from this side. So once your names are being called, we're going to ask you just to make way to the front, and you'll collect your certificate from Miss Sewell Mills.
Thank you very much, Colette. All protocols observed. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, graduates. All right, so we'll start off with Augustone Restorative Justice Center. What I'll ask you to do is we will save our applause for the end of all recipients for each center. So I'll let you know at the correct moment to applaud your colleagues. Marvia Bailey. Marva Bailey. Not here. All right. Richard Clark. Kyron Bent.
I can help.
They can stand midway to line up.
Yeah, pass them to Sasha.
Okay. Doreen Finley. That's okay. Jacqueline Malcolm Johnson. Aishane McDonald. Andrea Morris Coleman. Novette Rose Christian. Natalie Thompson. Patrina Williams. And Cristobal Wright. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to celebrate those persons from Augustone and Denhamtown Restorative Justice Center. Thank you so very much, Acting Chief Technical Director, Ms. Kayla Sewell Mills. At this time, Mr. Oral Taylor, or RJ Officer from Augustone Restorative Justice Center, will continue with the presentations. We turn our attention now to Greenwich Town Restorative Justice Center. I invite Mr. Kirk Campbell. Mr. Roger Harrison. Alexia James. Charmaine Lindsay. Christopher Murray. Cecile Walker. Paul Williamson. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the graduates of Greenwich Town Restorative Justice Center. At this time, I'm going to be calling on the persons from the parish of Hanover. Donna Anderson. Followed by Merletta Donaldson. Moving on to the parish of Manchester. Cavion Allen. Alicia Gardner. Miss Stacia Greenwright. Followed by Danian Hutchinson. Restorative Justice Officer for the Parish of Portland, Mr. Dowell Williams, to continue our presentations. We now move over to Maypen. Suen Hibbert. Pauline Jarrett Clerkhorn. Followed by Sophia Lade Lord. Miss Sasha Manning. Jaron Peters. William Smiley. Miss Sharnette Smith. Sonia Thomas. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our graduates for Maypen Restorative Justice Center. We shift our focus now to Pembroke Hall. Oh, my apologies, Sonia Wolf, also for Maypen Restorative Justice Center. Thank you so much. We continue to Pembroke Hall. I invite Rashina Crossley. Followed by Miss Crossley, we have Bewlett Hunter. We also have Mr. Ricardo Kennedy. Violet Lewinson. Miss Lewinson closes our graduates for Pembroke Hall Restorative Justice Center. Thank you, Mr. Williams. I now invite our Restorative Justice Officer from the Greenridge Restorative Justice Center, Miss Sophia Ellis, to join us for presentation for the graduates from the Portland Justice Center. I invite Miss Sandra Becker, Maureen Campbell, Helen Harrison, I'm not there yet, Letitia Martin, George Brown, Chase Roberts, Carrie Ann Scarlett, Nadine Simpson McLean, Shireen Waite George, we close the parish of Portland with Jubian Wright. Thank you very much, Miss Ellis. I now invite Mr. Rock, our Community Liaison Officer here with the Restorative Justice Unit, to do our final presentations for this moment to persons from the Spanish Town Restorative Justice Center. I invite Miss Claudette Bowie, Miss Nordia Clark, Miss Paulette Coley, Miss Sheva Johnson Stewart, should have it already. Oh, Johnson Stewart. Shiva. Mr. Royton McLaren, Miss Ashley Peart Brown, and closing for Spanish Town, I invite Miss Tessa White Dunkley. Ladies and gentlemen, this ends our first set of presentation for graduates for the Restorative Justice Training.
Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our graduates. And for our announcer, Miss Jonah Lee Robertson, and she is the Restorative Justice Parish Officer. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause. It's your milestone. You've gotten your certificate and you're ready to go out in the world and be a part of this solution. At this time, we will be serenaded by Mr. Shauna Smith, Restorative Justice Officer, Hanover Justice Center.
Afternoon, everybody. I don't know about the serenading part, but I'll try my best to walk us through a song that is fitting today. And I hope that all of us, just as I was your facilitator in training and I try to do my best, I hope that you will facilitate me today in assisting me in getting the job done. Yes? All right, so we're going to sing this song. It's called We Are the World. Yes, and we are the children. And we are the ones to make a brighter day. We are the ones to help with being restorative. Yes? So I'll try my best to give a good rendition with the help of you. So whenever I do like this, you're going to join along with me. Is that okay? Awesome. All right, let's go. There comes a time when we hear a certain call, when the world must come together as one. We are all a part of God's great big family. You know it makes the world a place for you and me. We are the world. There's a choice we're making, and it's saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a brighter day. Oh, send them your heart, so they know what someone care. A place for you and me. We are all a part of God's great big family. So place for you and me. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start living. There's a choice we're making, and it's changing our own life. It's true to make a brighter day, just you and me. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones to make a brighter day. Oh, let's start giving. There's a choice. Oh, yes. Oh, just you and me. We are the world. We are the children. We are the one. There's a choice. Oh, it's saving our own. Oh, yes. the children. We are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice to making. It's saving our own life. Let's do is make a brighter day. Just you and me.
Thank you so much. What a powerful voice. One day I'll be able to sing like that. One day, one day, one day. Not today, but one day. So we are going to be hearing from our valedictorian. Of course, every graduation has a valedictorian. And you have chosen for your valedictorian Mrs. Beverly Bogle Barrant, graduate of the St. Thomas Justice Center. Ah, there you go.
Honorable Master of Ceremonies, Honorable Custos Marcia Bennett, Custos Rotalorum St. Thomas, Mrs. Kayla Sewell Mills, Acting Chief Technical Director, Ms. Sasha Ibangs, Acting Coordinator, National Restorative Justice Program, Mr. Roydan All, JP, Trainer and Restorative Justice Officer, Restorative Justice Unit Administration, our facilitators, graduating class of 2022, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I consider this a privilege and an honor to stand before you this afternoon on this special occasion to deliver the valedictory speech on behalf of my colleague graduates here present, and for those who are unavoidably absent. I take this opportunity to congratulate all graduates for a job well done. Many of us will testify that there were numerous challenges along our journey, from being unable to join the launch of the training program on Thursday, August 4, because of Zoom account capacity issues, to internet connectivity issues, among other things, during the training, but we persevered. Yeah. On Tuesday, August 9th, 2022, over 150 of us successfully logged on to the training program via Zoom with much excitement, enthusiasm, and expectation. We all came from different parishes, backgrounds, mindsets, and worldviews to be trained and prepared as restorative justice facilitators. We had heard the term restorative justice, and some of us had even attended seminars, but here we were about to go into the meat of the matter of what restorative justice really entailed. So we eagerly embarked on a journey. In our very first lecture, we got a good understanding of what restorative justice is and what it is not, and who was being restored. We learned how to practice how the practice of restorative justice could help to change perspectives, impact lives, communities, and indeed the entire country. It was with this knowledge that all of us here today made a conscious decision to move full speed ahead into the unknown, and boy, what a journey it was. With our interest now stimulated, we were eager for all that was to come. We were introduced to areas of law relevant to our course, more specifically, the Law Reform Miscellaneous Amendment Restorative Justice Act 2016, which entrenched restorative justice into the criminal justice system. Our facilitator ensured that we had a good grasp of the concepts. How can we forget the module on communication and conflict management? Our eyes were opened to new concepts, and many of us realized then that we came up short in some areas. Right, colleagues? What resonated most was the concept of mindfulness, an attitude that is non-judgmental, curious, accepting, and kind, and all the other qualities that this concept exemplified. This practice, we are sure, will be present in all our everyday activities and interactions. As we delve further into the training and doing the module on working with victims and offenders, we were made aware that we needed to give a voice not only to the victim, but that for relationships to be successfully rebuilt, the offender also needed to be heard. This was further enhanced with the module which dealt with facilitating the restorative justice process. And it is here we got a better understanding of the use of circles in the restorative justice conferences. These are lessons we have incorporated into our everyday interactions. We will agree that how ethical standards and customer service best practices was presented, providing an avenue for us to be introspective and at the same time very expressive. For those invaluable lessons, we say thank you. The preparation process was not easy, and it was sometimes overwhelming and tedious for many of us. But we found consolation in the words of Chadwick Boseman, who said, "Whatever you choose as a career path, remember the struggles along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose." We recognize that we were being prepared to be agents of transformation. We are here today to celebrate our accomplishments. We can confidently say that we have achieved our goal. Graduating with our certificates and requisite experience is worthy of celebration. It has been a wonderful professional and academic experience in the virtual classroom. Real-world lessons were taught and learned through the emotional experiences often shared by some of us during the 11 interesting and interactive modules. We are indeed grateful for those lessons. Determination, purposefulness, knowledge, and practical skills would not have been attained without the dedicated restorative justice program trainers. To you, our trainers, we say thanks for the months of nurturing, which had its challenges. Some of us had not been in a classroom setting for a while, and some of us were technologically challenged and had to find a way to make the adjustment. Yet you never complained. You were excellent facilitators. You were available to us whenever we needed you. Your support cannot be overstated. The presentation formats were fun, enlightening, and very interactive. As facilitators, you made an extremely demanding and intellectually challenging program engaging. You encouraged us to voice our opinions and share experiences with the group. We felt valued. These are just a few things that made the restorative justice training program and you our trainers exceptional. To the Restorative Justice Coordinator and administrative staff, we thank you for being accommodating and for allaying our fears when we were anxious about the module handouts, and not to mention the assessments. Please allow me, on behalf of the graduates, to mention Ms. Sasha Ebanks for her relentless effort to ensure that the training mission was achieved. We are genuinely grateful, Sasha, for your insightful interjections during the session. God bless you. We could not have achieved this moment alone. So, to our families and friends, we thank you for your love, patience, support over the months of training, and for your presence on this special day. My fellow graduates, we have come a long way, and we are overcome with elation and contentment. Let us always remember that we are now restorative justice facilitators with the requisite knowledge and skills to impact our world for peace and reconciliation. Let us always remember the true purpose of our training. This day, February 9, 2023, is a call to duty in our communities, parishes, and indeed our country. This is the beginning of the next most important phase of our new lives as restorative justice facilitators. Finally, my fellow graduates, like Paul said to Timothy in his second book, chapter 4, verse 7, we have fought the good fight. We have finished the race. We have kept the faith. So equipped with the requisite knowledge, skills, and ability, we now go confidently in our new roles as facilitators who will assist in the administration of justice. Let us leave here today, celebrate what we have achieved as we look forward to making a difference in our society and, above all, inspiring others. Class of 2022, take a bow. We did it. Thank you.
You indeed did it. Thank you so much. You may be seated. We will continue with our presentation of certificates as is on the program. And let me now invite Mrs. Jonah Lee Robertson, Restorative Justice Officer for the St. Andrew Justice Center, just to stand center for me, please. And these are our graduates from the St. Andrew Justice Center. Remember again, we will hold the applauses until we have finished each section. Hayan Bromley. Winston Burton. Followed by Damian Howell. Wait for me. Mikhail Heidel. Oswald Leon. Up next, Tracy Nelson. Kadia Peko. Tanya Warmington. A round of applause. Oh, we have someone else. Yes, yes, Tanya is here, of course. A round of applause. Remain for me, Mrs. Robertson. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our graduates of St. Andrew Justice Center. And so we have from St. Anne and St. Elizabeth. From St. Anne, Anne-Marie Morant James. Desland Pennant. Lorna Morrison. Here she is. Yes, so graceful. And from St. Elizabeth, my parish, Colin Cameron. All right. So, yes, please. Thank you.
You are welcome. All right, so followed by Mr. Cameron, we have Naima Grandison. Daphne Jones Foster. Absent, okay. Miss Janet Linton. And closing our breadbasket parish, we have Raina Nemad Smith. Miss Raina Nemad Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the parish of St. Elizabeth. All right, please continue, Miss Kerr Patterson. We move over to the parish of St. James. Oh, she's collecting. All right, so I now invite Miss Cheryl Bebbington, our Restorative Justice Officer for the parish of St. James. Miss Moisha Williams, our Community Liaison Officer, one of our Community Liaison Officers for the parish of St. James.
Cheryl Anderson. Lancelot Anderson. They're not here. Antoinette Chateau Grant. Not here. Absentia. Chad Edwards. Here. Those three aforementioned names are in absentia. Chad in absentia as well. Romay Ferguson Simpson. Zane Forrest. Zane. Pardon me. I do not want to massacre the names. Maurice McGee. Charmaine Patrick Salmon. In absentia, Randolph Richards. Dwight Walters. Tanya Williams Salmon. Tanya. You're most welcome. I'm going to ask you to remain, Miss Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the graduates of St. James. We will be calling those persons graduating for St. Mary. And we're going to be asking you to remain, Miss Williams. Trevor Howard. All right, and he's making that step. Yes. Michael Lay. All decked in their royal blue. Denise Morrison. And closing St. Mary, Paulette Soman McLennan. Thank you so much. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Miss Williams, for being there. And then we will have Miss Sasha Ibanks to present. And now we'll be taking those participants from St. Thomas, or those graduates rather, from St. Thomas. We have Carleen Affleck. In absentia, I was told. Sabrina Barnes. Yes. Yes. Custis Marcia Beck. Sabrina Barnes. Beverly Bogle-Barrett. Our valedictorian. Dwayne Brown. Cecile Downer. Veronica Facey. Brenda Walker. Adrian Young. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for our graduates of St. Thomas. And now we'll have our graduates from Tivoli Gardens. I'm not sure if Sasha wants to do this one, or will, or she'll yield to the acting RGO. Okay. So Miss Evans will go ahead. Yes, she would not give us this opportunity at all. Yes, of course, to assist her. Thank you so much, Miss Nunes. So we'll begin with Sharona Brown. And then continue with Stokely Fagan. Followed by Patrick Haddon. And then Obot Ite. I got it right. I did not massacre that one. And closing Tivoli, we have Mr. Paul Morris. Thank you so much. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for graduates from Tivoli Gardens. Oh, and then Mr. Royden Hall, your time's up, sir. For Tower Hill. Opening the presentations for Tower Hill, we have Akeem Edwards. Next, Edmond Laban. And then closing, we have Genevieve White. Sorry? All right, Janet Affleck. Her name was called earlier. Yes. We apologize, Miss Affleck. So it's Janet. Yes. Oh, my apologies. Yes. You see, that's the thing about restorative justice, the apology goes a far way. Yes, so Janet Affleck. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mr. Hall. Can we invite now, has Miss Bebington returned? Yes, Cheryl Bebington. Miss Bebington is the Restorative Justice Officer for the St. James Justice Center, and she will be presenting to those graduates from Trelawney. Anisha Beckford Cross. Gandhi Bennett Livingstone. Followed by Georgina Fletcher. In absentia, Georgina was told. Winsome Harper. So, Winsome Harper. Trisha McCarthy. Garland MacDonald. Absent in absentia as well. Marshallie Ashmin. I'm sorry, that's Trenchtown. So Trelawney, a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. You see, when you're aging, you know, the eyesight goes, you see? So pardon me a little bit. Be restorative with me, please. So thank you. Do we have Trenchtown? Yes. Thank you so much, Ms. Babington. We'll ask our community liaison officer, Robin Rock, to present for the Trenchtown graduates. So we have Marshallie Ashmin. And rising, we'll have Grace Bailey. Then Rolinda Campbell. Kamar Jones. All right. So do we have Rolinda? Yes. Yes. And Kamar Jones in absentia. Is this Taja Lawrence? Okay, not here either. Carrion Loban Ellis. Vanessa Noble. In absentia, Hamroy Roberts. And closing, Tamiki Walsh. This one is special, ladies and gentlemen, extra special. The others are very, very, very special, you know. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, your hands together for the Trenchtown graduates and Mr. Robin Rock. We now invite Ms. Sharon Derlew, and she will be presenting. She's our community liaison officer for the parish of Westmoreland, and she will be presenting to those graduates. First up, we have Joanna Cole McDaniel. Sabrina Dennis. In absentia, Joan Grant. Shireen Hibbert, Wedderburn. followed by Kamala Jackson Salter. Alyssa Johnson. Andrea Patterson. In absentia, we'll have Janine Patterson collecting on her behalf. Along with hers too. Janine Patterson. Yes. Adeline Smith. And closing Westmoreland, ladies and gentlemen, Neville Wilson. A round of applause for the graduates of Westmoreland. So for our staff members, we had some staff who would have been trained in restorative as facilitators. Miss Evans, you want to take that one? She is here. Good, wonderful. Yes, our trainer, Miss Simone Mitchell da Costas. She is the Restorative Justice Officer for the parish of St. Elizabeth. So we'll start up with Cheryl Bebington. Yes, for our staff. So these individuals would have been trained along with our facilitators as well, so they can be trained facilitators. Nevar Carty is in absentia. Next up, we have Jermaine Clark. Khadijah Daly in absentia. Walter Dunbar in absentia. Sophia Ellis. Amelie Forrest Jr. Oh, it's the French pronunciation. It's Amelie, is it? Yes, right. Oui, oui. O'Neill Graham. O'Shane Haynes, the great O'Shane Haynes. And of course, Miss Evans is going to present to her admin. Oh, yes. Next up, Chantal Henry. Yes, Miss Popularity, I can hear. Kamar Kennedy. Raquelia Swaby. Caron Thomas. And last but by no means least, Miss Moesha Williams. Thank you so much, Miss Evans and Mrs. Simone Mitchell da Costa. We have some staff members who would have been trained from the Ministry of Justice head office. And you see, because she did it so nice the first time, we have to have her twice. Madam CTD, yes. And so our MOJ head office staff who have been trained, Juliet Dougherty. Old age, I tell you, man. Yes. Patricia Lindsay. Shauna K. Taylor. You see, in RJ, we keep adopting people, you see? And everybody wants to be there, too. And do we have Ulrike Thomas? He is. Oh, okay. And so Shauna K is collecting on his behalf. Wonderful. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our MOJ staff. We thank you so much, and that concludes our presentation of certificates for graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and give your hand around, give yourselves and our facilitators a round of applause. Well done, well done, well done. Thank you so much. You may be seated. Now, after everything, after you have been encouraged, after you have been trained, of course, you want to be charged up, extra charged up. The minister and everybody else who would have come before would have given you that kind of pep talk and encouragement. And so our charge comes to us from Miss Kayla Sewell Mills, JP, our Chief Technical Director Acting. I'll tell you a little bit about Miss Mills. Miss Kayla Sewell Mills is a public sector management specialist with over 30 years experience in the Jamaican public service, including more than 20 years at the senior management level and over 10 years of experience in project management. Ms. Sewell Mills is the acting Chief Technical Director in the Ministry of Justice since November 2022. Ms. Sewell Mills has worked with the then Ministry of Labor and Welfare, as well as the Ministry of Health, the Office of the Governor General, and the Office of the Cabinet Secretary, providing high-level policy and technical support. Additionally, she has served as a member of the National Contracts Commission from 2013 to 2019 and has served as a Justice of the Peace for Kingston since 2005. A past student of the Immaculate Conception High School, she continues to gain inspiration from the motto of her alma mater, and coincidentally, it has been the motto of my alma mater too, Ad Astra Per Aspera, which translates to the stars through difficulties. Ladies and gentlemen, your hands together for Miss Kayla Sewell Mills, JP.
Our moderator, Mrs. Colette Carr-Pattison. Our senior custos, Honorable Marcia Bennett, Custos of St. Thomas. Ms. Sasha Banks, Restorative Justice Coordinator in the Ministry of Justice. Thank you. Mr. Royden Hall and other Restorative Justice trainers, MOJ staff members, colleagues, graduates, other distinguished guests, persons joining us virtually. Good afternoon. It's good to be here.
It is. Yes.
I am happy.
I'm sure the minister and the permanent secretary are also happy because we are taking the message as we have been instructed to the nook and cranny of Jamaica. If you want peace, work for justice. My dear graduates, you have demonstrated by your presence here today that in fact, on this little island we call home, that you are prepared to stand up and play your part in helping to restore the peace in homes and communities that are in need of restoration and healing. I am told that the program started with almost 180 participants. Today, 147 of you are graduating because you persevered. Yes. I am moved by your commitment and determination, and I celebrate with you this most notable achievement. Congratulations to all of you. You're joining the restorative justice team at a time when domestic violence, gender-based violence, and gang violence remain a challenge for our country. The constant rhetoric in our local news surrounds crime and violence occurring in all areas of our society. The Restorative Justice Facilitators Training Program has prepared you to think about crime and offenders differently, to pursue conflict resolution as a means to reducing crime, to pursue restoration as a sustainable path to a more secure and peaceful Jamaica. Yours is a higher calling, a call towards social justice in the building of a more just and humane society. When an offense is committed, oftentimes we focus on the offender. However, the RJ way dictates that justice involves the victim, the offender, and the community in a search for lasting solutions. The process under the RJ program involves meetings with the victim, the offender, and community. Each party is allowed to tell their story of the offense from their perspective and talk openly about their feelings. This meeting helps the parties to develop an understanding of the crime from the other party's perspective and the steps that they each need to take in order to make amends. The RJ way promotes repair, reconciliation, and reassurance. As facilitators of the process, what you will offer Jamaicans is the opportunity to take part in a process that will help to repair the harm caused by an offense. The RJ way is a collaborative, inclusive approach to achieving lasting peace and justice. Restorative Justice is one of our flagship programs at the Ministry of Justice, as we aim to deliver a first-class justice system as well as take justice to the people of Jamaica, and I dare say, by a first-class justice team. For the past 4 years, there has been over 7,000 cases that have been referred to the RJ program, and almost 80% of these cases are referrals from the courts. This is testimony of the work, of the confidence in the work that the justice system places in the work of our RJ team. More important to note is that between 2020 and 2021, the RJ program experienced a whopping 90%, give yourself a hand, 90% success rate. Can anyone tell me what that means? Right. But a success rate at 90% means the program is working in every nook and cranny of Jamaica, and we thank you. Since the launch of the Alternative Justice Services campaign in 2022, the Ministry of Justice has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Education and Youth to use restorative justice practices in the school system. We have conducted sensitization in over 80 schools island-wide just last year. The ministry has also signed a partnership agreement with the churches to train leaders and their members to use RJ in the communities they serve. As part of the ministry's commitment to Jamaicans, we have established 21 restorative justice centers island-wide to serve our clients and bring justice services directly to our people. Facilitators, welcome to this amazing team. Yes. Give yourselves a hand. You are joining at a time when the ministry will be ramping up its outreach program in schools and churches in response to the call from our minister to take the message far and wide. The success rate that the RJ program boasts is due to the commitment of you, our staff and facilitators, and your efforts to continue to bring the people of Jamaica justice that they can reach. Facilitators, we need to change the headlines of stories heard in our local news each night. As we have been doing this week by way of interviews on the various radio stations, please continue to spread the good news that restorative justice interventions work. You, our graduates, include members from the police force, the social justice sector, the teaching fraternity, and the church community, among many other vocations. You have all been trained in restorative practices, which will enable more stories of restoration. Among you are also staff of the Ministry of Justice, who have seen firsthand the work of the RJ team and have been inspired by the energy and passion of the team and have made the conscious decision, and as Mr. Leon told us, to move from the sidelines and get involved. Let me again emphasize just how critical a resource you, our facilitators, are in changing the rhetoric as we seek to encourage stories of change and restoration. As part of your training, you were all taken through the 11-module Restorative Justice Facilities Handbook, which you were all successful in completing. Congratulations again. My charge to you today is to remind you of 3 important points from your training that comprehensively speak to facilitating the restorative justice process. Firstly, as a facilitator, you are not a judge. Your role as facilitator is not to make a judgment on the individuals involved, not to determine who is right or who is wrong. As a facilitator, you are there to encourage dialogue, help persons to talk it out, to work it out, help them clarify the issues. I ask you, I beg of you, be aware, be emotionally conscious, and be assertive. Secondly, as a facilitator, you're a guardian of the process. A guardian protects, a guardian defends. As guardians of the restorative justice process, you are required to be balanced. Know when to listen, when to speak, when to stop speaking, so that each party may reach the point of reconciliation to start the process of healing. Thirdly, as a facilitator, you are a representative of the Ministry of Justice. As facilitators, our expectation is that you will contribute to maintaining the high standard that has been set by your predecessors and your colleagues. Please remain steadfast, remain committed, never lose sight of the impact and change this program has made and will make in the lives of those we serve. The core values of the Ministry of Justice include service, integrity, and respect. I wish to repeat that. The core values of the Ministry of Justice include service, integrity, and respect. Let us, in our daily walk, embody these values. Be the change in your homes and your communities, and spread the message of forgiveness and restoration. We have a duty to support our leaders in making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. Our Jamaica. At the opening of the Denham Town Restorative Justice Center in 2017, the Prime Minister shared an illustration to demonstrate the importance of the program. He stated, "I am your neighbor. We live together. We have always gotten along. But one day, your garbage turns over and some of it goes over your yard onto my yard. And as my neighbor, you get vexed and take up the garbage, then throw it on my veranda. What happens? A big argument then starts. Knives are drawn. Somebody gets stabbed." Restorative justice provides a structured way to help these neighbors, help these parties to reason it out, talk it out, and get to a point of resolution. Those of us who have had the opportunity to visit the RJ's offices have been left inspired. Ms. Sasha Ibanks, we thank you. We owe you a debt of gratitude. Your zeal, your passion for the work you do is truly remarkable. I commend you and your team for developing and delivering this facilitators training program. Graduates, as I close, I urge you, act justly, love mercy, but most importantly, as you interact with your fellow men, walk and talk humbly. Things will not be easy, but with faith and hope, all things are possible. Seek the counsel of your seniors when needed, and remember, you are not alone. Restorative justice, justice that heals. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our Acting Chief Technical Director. I'm just going to leave with you one thing that she said, among the many great things. If you want peace, what should you do? Work for justice. Let me hear you say that. I know you're eating, but just do that swallow and say it with me. If you want peace, work for justice. That's what I leave you with, facilitators, and also for our staff members. If you want peace, work for justice. We can't get peace without the work. And so at this time, I am going to be inviting Miss Sasha Ibanks. We have some presentation of certificates and special awards, and I'm being told that these awards go to our top 10 facilitators And we'll invite Ms. Sasha Ebanks to make those announcements. And I'll also invite our administrators for the program, Mr. O'Shane Haynes and Mrs. Kamisha Wedderburn Bromley, to assist with the presentations. Thank you.
Now, I know that I'm in a dangerous position because I'm vying for your attention at a time when your scrumptious meal is being served to you. And so I hope that I will get the larger part of your attention, 60%. All right. I must have confessed that this year we had an extraordinarily high crop of facilitators. Put your hands together for yourselves. The scores were high. They ranged from the 80s right up to 100. No, man, I think you deserve a better hand than that. So it means that although you were online and you were dropping off and coming back on, you were learning something. And persons who, shared how the assessment hard, Mr. Banks. Mr. Banks, I'm not good with exam. I can't do test a long time school. I left school. You were trying to trick me. All right, so these are the top 10 students. They scored the highest in their assessment. And so please receive, who's gonna do the presentation? Ms. Bromley, please come, yes. You wanna come and feed it to her? You want help? Help, yeah. Thank you so much. Beverly Bogle-Barant. Beverly was our top student, actually. Yes. Thank you, Beverly. Oswald Leon. Woo! Yes, man. Give him some, yes. Maybe I should call the parish or center from which they're attached, right? So that they can have bragging rights and such. All right, so Beverly was from St. Thomas and Oswald from St. Yes, and Oswald from St. Andrew. And then yes, where's the center? Yes. All right, Sophia Laidlaw, May Penn Restorative Justice Center. Sophia, make your way. Then we have Charmaine Lindsay, Greenwich Town. Sophia, you're not sharing? Yes, Sophia Laidlaw, not here? Oh. Charmaine, I'm sorry, Charmaine isn't here. Come and receive it for her, please. Charmaine Lindsay, let's affirm her. She did well. Greenwich Town Restorative Justice Center. Then we have Swan Hibbert, Maypen. Not here. All right. Then we have from Westmoreland, Janayan Patterson. Janine. Westmoreland Restorative Justice Center. Keep the applause going for Donna Anderson, Hanover. Donna. Donna took off her glasses, Donna said, nothing is blocking this face. And I don't know what is wrong with Maypen, but we have Sonia Thomas, Maypen. Mr. Brown, how do you feel? Marjorie, how are you feeling? Good, yes. St. Elizabeth would not be outdone, so we have Raina Nemhard Smith. Not at all, we cannot have it. Is Raina not here today? Yeah, yes, I saw her earlier. Yes. Keep the applause going for Raina. And West Kingston would not be outdone, so we have Obut Ite Tivoli Gardens RJ Center. Pastor Anderson, stand up for this one. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I now invite Mr. Haynes to come to the podium as we make and we announce some awards for our staff. Ladies and gentlemen, we, as CTD said, we have some very diligent and hard-working team members. We're recognizing 13 centers today, or 13 categories of staff today. However, the entire RJ unit really should receive an award or a plaque today. And if you're listening online, we acknowledge the work you're doing in your parishes, all 20 locations. What we're doing in Jamaica, the transformation, we're bringing the paradigm shift, the culture change. It's all because of the work that you're doing in the 20 locations. And we raise our hats to you, and we give the Lord thanks for you. And Jamaica is great because you are doing a good job. Can we put our hands together for each staff member? Mr. Haynes, would you take?
So Mr. Banks said it perfectly. Firstly, we'll be recognizing the center that completed the most conferences in 2022. And I would love for you to help me in welcoming and putting your hands together for the Tivoli Gardens Restorative Justice Center. And they are being represented by, CLO, Mr. Raymond Anderson. Come on, put your hands together for him and for the center. And that is for Kingston and St. Andrew. Next, we'll move on to the center that completed the most conferences in rural parishes. And that goes to the Maypen Restorative Justice Center. And that's the RGO, Mr. Noel Brown. Next, we'll move to the center that completed the most sensitization in 2022 in Kingston and St. Andrew. And I must tell you that this center just opened last year, and they are the Pembroke Hall Restorative Justice Center. And this is Mrs. Kamar Kennedy, the RJO for the center. And this is Ms. Nikela Harris, the CLO for the center. We'll now move to the center that completed the most sensitization for rural parishes, and that goes to the Hanover Justice Center. Welcome Ms. Melissa Harcher. She is the CLO for the parish. And Ms. Tashana Smith, the RGO. Put your hands together for them, please. We'll now move to the center in Kingston and St. Andrew that achieved the most agreements for 2022. And who can make a guess? The Tivoli Gardens Restorative Justice Center. Welcome Mrs. Ava Williams-Nunes, the acting RJO for the center. Now to the center that achieved the most agreements in 2022 for rural parishes, the Westmoreland Restorative Justice Center. Welcome the CLO, Miss Sharon Durlu. I must tell you that Miss Durlu was here very early this morning, rearing to collect her gift for her center. Now we'll move to the center in Kingston and St. Andrew that was most improved. And that goes to the Trenchtown Restorative Justice Center. Yes. And Mr. Robin Rock is here to collect that award on behalf of his center. And again, the center in the rural parishes that was most improved goes to the Hanover Justice Center. Sure you may.
I only have one facilitator active down there, so trust me.
So I'm breaking protocol a bit. We'll skip now to the center with the highest number of active RJ facilitators in Kingston and St. Andrew. And that center goes to the Tower Hill Restorative Justice Center. And that is Mr. Hall, the RJO. And likely the center in the rural parishes that has the highest number of restorative justice facilitators. Want to make a guess? The Maypen Restorative Justice Center. And this is Miss Marjorie Henry. And so now we'll continue with the regular flow. And this award goes to the center that we consider to be the highest performing center in 2022 for Kingston and St. Andrew. And this award goes to the Tivoli Gardens Restorative Justice Center. Put your hands together for them. And the entire team is rolling out for this one. We have the acting RJO coming up. That is... Another round of applause, please, for the Tivoli Gardens Restorative Justice Center. Everybody from Tivoli come out to them, man. Right. And now to the highest performing center in the rural parishes. And it goes to the Maypen Restorative Justice Center. Come on, everybody from Maypen come out to know. Maypen will not be outdone by Tivoli. No more, see what they ready. Mrs. Bromley? You want to say it? All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you're aware, I took over in August, acting for our then coordinator, Restorative Justice Coordinator, Miss Andreen Lindsay. And Miss Lindsay is not able to join us today, but we thought it was appropriate for us to use this occasion to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of Miss Andreen Lindsay. And so as a unit, we have prepared for her the Outstanding Service Award for 2022. And we deem it fit to raise our glasses, your water, in toast to the work that has been done by Miss Andreen Lindsay. And to receive it is her administrative support, Miss Kamisha Wedderburn Bromley. Andreen Lindsay. Thank you, Miss Bromley. That concludes it, right? Okay. Thank you. What would I do without Mr. Haynes? Mr. Haynes is reminding me that we also want have presentations. Mr. Haynes, do you want to distribute for me, please? All right, we have a token for our teachers, our trainers, our facilitators, and you have spoken about how impactful the sessions have been. Mr. Dowell Williams, will you come? Mr. Dowell Williams, we want to make a presentation to you, sir. I did. I stood between you and your salad. Your phone. Put your hands together for Dowell Williams. Facilitating the restorative justice process. And then Ms. Jonah Lee Robertson, case management. A better hand on that, please, for Mrs. Robertson. What is restorative justice? Tashana Smith. Go down some more. The National Restorative Justice Program in Jamaica, Mr. Royden Hall. How can we forget psychosocial support and clientele diversity? Simone Mitchell DaCosta. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen. You saw her online. That's it, right? Mr. Morris here? Okay. I'm advised that team member Shauna K. Taylor will be receiving the award for Mr. Trevor Moore, or Director for Safety and Security, and that was the module he did, Safety and Security. Miss Taylor, please come. We want to invite Ms. Kimisha Wedderburn-Bromley. Earlier she collected on behalf of Mr. Lindsay. Now we want to give her own acknowledgement for the administrative support she provided to the program herself and Mrs. Ava Williams-Nunes. Please come, Mrs. Kimisha Wedderburn-Bromley. Could you put your hands together for Mrs. Bromley, please? Why should it shock you? You did well. Congratulations. Mrs. Ava Williams-Nunes, she texted you, she called you. Listen. We will move the votes of thanks at a later stage today. However, I want to seize this opportunity whilst I'm at the podium to acknowledge our Chief Technical Director, Ms. Kayla Sewell-Mills. Since Miss Mills has joined the ministry, she has been nothing but supportive of the Restorative Justice Program. The entire RJ week would not have been the success it has been if it were not for Mrs. Sewell-Mills. And so, Mrs. Sewell-Mills, we want to take this opportunity to make a presentation to you. I'm going to ask Pat to make the presentation. You were going to take the photograph? No, man, come give it to her, man. She's a gem. As late as we are up, Miss Sewell-Mills is there with us, organizing our supper. Put your hands together for her. Thank you so much, CTD. Put your hands together for my CTD, please. Thank you so much, Ms. Mills. I now hand over to the moderator. Thank you, Miss Lindsay. I'm going to take the opportunity to come down in the picture. Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for all our recipients of special awards and certificates. Let me hear the round of applause. Yes, louder, man, and stronger. Yes. So, closing remarks. Okay.
Please bear with me. I made one error and I wish to correct it. Miss Marjorie Henry was also a tutor in the National Restorative Justice Program of Jamaica. Please forgive me, Marjorie. It's a good thing we're friends, or I don't know what would happen. And you're restorative. Awesome. Put your hands together for Miss Henry. Thank you. Mr. Haynes, have I done anything else wrong? Okay, I'm good.
All right, so we thank you so much, Miss Evans, Mr. Haynes, and Mrs. Wedderburn Bromley for the presentation of the special certificates and awards. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I won't bore you any further, and we have come to the closing of our ceremony. Of course, they've saved the best for last. So that's why they save the food for last, you know, and serve it at that time. And so, as we close, ladies, gentlemen, facilitators, staff members, I want to leave with you one word. Yes? As volunteers, as employees, we give. G-I-V-E. As you go out and you start facilitating, you'll realize that you're going to be given so much. This is volunteer, and believe me, and take it when I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that we appreciate it wholeheartedly. We couldn't do it alone, and that's why we had to get you on board, and so thank you. So I leave with you the word give. G. Go with God. What we're doing today needs not just our own human effort, but requires entirely divine intervention. So whatever you do, go with God. Immerse immerse yourself into the RJ process. Bring your own uniqueness. We have a bank of a wealth of knowledge and experiences, so immerse yourself in the process. V, I spoke about it earlier, and I actually got this one from my RJ officer, and it stuck with me since. Be the other voice in the room. You're not a judge, as CTD says earlier, but you're the other voice. You're the voice of restoration. So when everybody is raging, you're that soft, still voice that's going to bring about the balance. E, and this is critical. So as you give, you have got to exercise self-care. Take care of number one. If you don't recharge, if you don't take care of yourself, you'd not be quite effective in giving, don't? Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you give of your time, remember, go with God, immerse yourself, be the other voice, and exercise self-care. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been my absolute pleasure. Double measure. And if you've enjoyed it just half as much as I did, then you would have enjoyed it immensely. Thanks for being there with me, sticking through with me your Master of Ceremony, Colette Kerr Patterson. At this time, we will keep your applauses going, but just know for Amelie, did I get it right this time? Yes, Amelie Forrest Jr., who will move the vote of thanks. Have yourselves a wonderful afternoon.
All protocols observed. Pleasant afternoon to everyone. It is indeed a privilege to be able to express the vote of thanks today. First, I want to say thank you to our first person who welcomed the presence of our Lord in our midst, Mr. Royton McLaren. Thank you for leading us warmly into that time of inspiration. To our Restorative Justice Coordinator, acting, Ms. Sasha Ibanks, for a warm welcome in this space. We thank you. The message that was shared with us by our minister, we absolutely are grateful on behalf of all the graduates here. I'm sure that we took a message from his message to go out and to do the work. What a wonderful rendition of the song, We Are the World. Thank you so much, Mrs. Smith. To our valedictorian, Mrs. Bogle Barrant, who represented my parish well. Yes. And so wonderfully captured the story for all of us. I'm sure that we can agree that the story captured and shared today, we are all able to relate. The testimonial also that came, Oswald Leon, thank you. Yes, you, like many of the rest of us, were reserved, but today you came out and you were a voice for us who were also reserved, and today we share in that testimony that we will continue to be a voice. To our Master of Ceremonies, you so led this ceremony with grace. You were very much vibrant. You kept us engaged with that story. I can't forget Timbuktu, but today you buck all away. We want peace. And so as we were charged today by Ms. Kayla Sewell Mills, our Chief Technical Director, we are charged to do the work. And so today I say, as a Jamaican, we often hear, we want justice. Today we want peace. As justice facilitators, we want peace. And we are ready to do the work. We are ready to do the work. We are ready to do the work. And so as we were reminded in all that took place today, all the messages and everything. Okay. Mr. Roydon Hall, in his remarks, we are here to facilitate that peace in this nation. And so we just want to give special thanks to these persons. Also to our trainers, we could not do it without our trainers. So as we thank each other as graduates, we thank our trainers for their patience. You know, while we're online and probably not hearing so well, you're given the opportunity to explain what it is you're saying, their patience. We want to thank all our trainers. And in our Master of Ceremonies closing remarks, as she also charged us to go and to give, go with God, immerse ourselves, to be that voice, and to exercise self-care. I just want to say special thanks to everyone. Now, thank you, graduates, for sticking it through with me in this process. And today we are all ready. Just a general thank you in case I have missed anyone. I don't think so. Thank you. And the ambience, the place is really nice. And we have some lovely persons serving us, and they're expressing their patience with some of us as well. And we want to say thank you to those persons who capture us on the media. We want to say thank you. Everyone, thank you for making this a wonderful experience.
We just ask that you enjoy the lovely music in the background brought to us by our amazing media team, and enjoy your meal.